contoh dari Zoom. Kalau ada pembicara dari Zoom.
Good morning. I'm Zo from ASEAN Secretariat. I may check to organizer if you can hear me. Thank you.
หน่อยหน่อยปิดไมค์หน่อยดูกล้องถ้าไม่พูดอ่ะถ้าไม่พูด
Kita mulai aja ya, please. Ya. Hello, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, and a very good morning. I do hope that everybody online can also hear us. Please give me a thumbs up if you can actually hear us. Thumbs up, please. Well, oh, that's good. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. So everybody can actually hear us as well. So we're about to start. And what we'll actually do is perhaps we will actually take a photograph first. So we'll do two kind of things. So everyone who's joining online, if they can switch on their video, we will do a screenshot of those attending online. Can we have everyone attending online to switch on their video, please? Thank you. Can we have more? Right, we still have one more row, two more rows, basically, if they can switch on their video as well. Thank you. Next, three more. Two more. Belum ada mungkin. So I guess that's everybody with their video on. So if I can actually get those joining us online to have give us a good smile. And I guess behind us to take a photo. James, can we do that? Sure. Right. So we'll do that. Yeah.
Are we where? Kameranya kat ini.
Tes.
Jadi we'll do that.
Everybody a physical photograph. Tapi nggak ada ini. Hi, how are you, sir?
Tes.
Right, sorry for the delay. So we just finished our photo session with our delegates who are actually attending this in person. So what I'm going to do, we will actually basically going to start with our opening remarks. So I will start off with, my name is Yanti Rahman. I'm basically the Secretary General for the ASEAN Interparliamentary Assembly. And thank you so much. A very good morning to everyone. So Your Excellencies, Honorable Members of Parliaments and Senators, AIPA National Secretariats, ladies and gentlemen, so let me first begin by thanking ICCF and the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development on this co-joint briefing today. And it is indeed timely to address a very important issue on marine debris in the Southeast Asia. So the seas of Southeast Asia have been under immense pressure, especially due to the marine plastic pollution, and the volume of solid waste and marine debris generated across the Southeast Asia has rapidly increased. And in 6 of the 10 ASEAN member states alone, approximately over 31 million tons of plastic waste.
How about now? All right. Can we assume that works?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Thumbs up. Okay.
Selamat pagi, selamat datang. Bahasaku kurang lancar. So I'll switch to English, but I promise I'm going to Yogyakarta to continue my studies. Heartfelt appreciation to both AIPA and UNCTAD for being co-sponsors to this event. I also like to recognize Madam Secretary General, Paputu, Ravindra, Chairman Fadli Zahn, who has a recording for us, my new golfing buddy, Honorable Suyai, honorable members of the AIPA parliaments and observer parliaments, as well as our Thailand Conservation Caucus and the Caucus Kelautan of the Republic of Indonesia. I'm James Ward. I have the privilege of serving as the country director for ICCF Group. We're a global NGO dedicated to advancing conservation governance by fostering political will and offering environmental solutions to public policy. Now, what does political will mean? It means all of us present here today have dedicated themselves to improving the environmental challenges of their respective countries. Through this forum, it's my sincere hope that we find domestic champions across the ASEAN region to address the concern of marine debris. We're gathered by a common goal to address this issue, specifically plastics and even derelict fishing gear that pose threats to our oceans. I could go on and on about the tens of thousands of metric tons a day that get dumped into the oceans, but our focus today is not on those challenges we face, but on the solutions that are currently underway. We aim to explore how we can shape public policies that foster research and development of new technologies and innovative approaches to prevent the spread of plastics in the oceans. Our discussions will encompass encouraging cost-effective waste management strategies, incorporating the data and analytics from AI into the plastics life cycle, including help us sort waste, which I read about the other day, it was brilliant, and leveraging current and promising technologies to minimize waste throughout industrial systems. It is crucial to reflect on our journey so far. In 2020, we launched the caucus in Indonesia, and through collaborative efforts, we agreed upon a charter that prioritizes solutions to address oceans plastics. Through our field missions and fact-finding missions in the countryside and local villages, vast amounts of marine debris are not adequately being disposed of, and fish is not being caught in the fishing net, and the local fisherman is catching plastics instead. Therefore, we must broaden this conversation to include our provincial and regional levels within our respective countries. I've always said politics is local, and if the roads are good and the trash is cleaned up, then people will vote for you again, right? The Oceans Caucus first engaged with BAPENAS, the National Development Planning Agency, to discuss the necessary investments. Today, we further explore opportunities for international cooperation and leveraging these exciting tools and technologies at our disposal right now. Our journey does not end with policy and tech. The final step lies in raising public awareness and promoting education to highlight the detrimental impacts of marine debris on the environment, wildlife, and human health. Here in Indonesia, we strive to bridge that policy between the central and regional governments. And in closing, let's approach today's discussions with a spirit of collaboration, innovation, and determination. I turn to you. Thank you very much. Terima kasih banyak. Who's next? Oh, it's Pak Babi? Pak Valizan dulu?
Honorable Secretary General of ASEAN Interparliamentary Assembly, Architect Siti Rozai Merianti Datuk Haji Abdul Rahman, Honorable Asia Director of the ICCF Group, James Ward, Honorable Heads and Members of Delegations of AIPA Member Parliaments, Honorable Members of the House of Representatives of the Republic of Indonesia, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May peace be upon us all. On behalf of the House of Representatives of the Republic of Indonesia, allow me to express my sincere thanks and appreciation to the International Conservation Caucus Foundation, ICCF, for organizing a crucial briefing on technology and innovation solutions to address marine debris in Southeast Asia, and for inviting me as the chair of the Committee for Interparliamentary Cooperation of the Indonesian House of Representatives to deliver a keynote speech on the aforementioned transboundary issue. Through this video message, I would also like to applaud ICCF for their remarkable work and efforts and for collaborating with AIPA on the issue of conservation. Ladies and gentlemen, today's briefing on technology and innovation solution to address marine debris in Southeast Asia, organized by the ICCF, is very timely and important to collectively discuss. Our ocean and seas have been greatly impacted by marine debris. Research found that in the 6 of 10 ASEAN member states, more than 31 million plastic waste was generated annually. The litter that ends up in or enters the aquatic realms, including plastic waste, can adversely affect the marine and coastal wildlife, can result in economic loss, particularly to tourism and fishing industries, and moreover contribute to climate change, which is a major issue in our lifetime. Indeed, efforts have been demonstrated in the region, but a lot of progress still needs to be made. Remember that the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development demands us to take action on climate change and conserve and sustainably use the oceans. Ladies and gentlemen, innovative solutions are needed at this moment for us to achieve extraordinary progress. In an era of rapid technological advancement, it is crucial for us to optimize the use of emerging and innovative technologies to combat marine debris, including by cleaning up and reducing the litter. As we are all aware, ASEAN already has its regional action plan for combating marine debris in the ASEAN member states 2021-2025 that recognize the role of technologies in combating marine debris. It is indeed crucial. However, every country has different resources, both physical and financial. Tackling marine debris and incorporating technologies into the agenda demand multi-stakeholders response. To this end, ASEAN member states must strengthen cooperation and work hand in hand to tackle marine debris issues once and for all. Ladies and gentlemen, it must be emphasized as well as addressing marine debris, including through using technology and other innovative solutions, is impossible without parliaments exercising their role and function effectively. As representatives of the people, parliaments can make and pass laws that covers the issue of marine debris and conduct oversight function and build synergies with the government to make sure that the national agenda and policy reflect the people's aspiration and needs. Through parliamentary diplomacy, can also voice the urgency of tackling marine debris and its related issues, especially through various parliamentary forums, including the ASEAN Interparliamentary Assembly, AIPA. This has been demonstrated from time to time, including through the adoption of the AIPA resolution on combating marine plastic debris and microplastic at the 38th AIPA General Assembly in the Philippines. So as the House of Representatives of the Republic of Indonesia is holding the presidency of AIPA this year, I am also fully determined to make the topic of marine debris and the role of technology as one of the key issues of the 44th General Assembly of AIPA this August in Jakarta, Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, it is great honor for me to be able to deliver a keynote speech before all of you today. As a closing note, marine debris is a transboundary issue that requires us to cooperate. It is indeed not an easy task, but when we work together, everything is possible. And remember that the goal is to preserve the ocean and save the planet that we all love. Thank you, and I hope that today's briefing will have a result that we all desire. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Excellent. Pak Bobby, do we have you? Silakan. mobil. Ya. Bobby.
Sorry, I cannot hear.
Boleh, silakan.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Secretary General of AIPA, Her Excellency Ibu Siti Roza Merianti Dato Haji Abdul Rahman, Honorable Asia Director of the ICCF Group, Mr. James Ward, Honorable Heads and Delegation of AIPA Member Parliaments, Honorable Members of the House of Representatives of Republic Indonesia, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm deeply honored to address you today at the joint briefing by the International Conservation Caucus Foundation, the AIPA, ASEAN Interparliamentary Assembly, and the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development on a topic of such importance, addressing the challenge of marine debris in Southeast Asia through technology and innovation. First of all, I'd like to apologize because I'm still in the to Surabaya, so maybe a little bit shaky the picture. I really apologize to all the participants. Our marine environment is our responsibility, and we must take urgent collective actions to ensure their survival for future generations. Southeast Asia is renowned for its rich biodiversity, diverse ecosystem, and a wealth of natural resources. But today, it is a monumental challenge. Our oceans, the very lifeblood of our region, are being inundated by an alarming influx of marine debris. This is not only threatens by the ecological balance, but also endangers economic prosperity, the well-being of coastal communities, and the integrity of the blue economy. The blue economy concept promotes the sustainable development through the wise use of ocean resources of economic growth, improve livelihoods and jobs while preserving the integrity of the ocean ecosystem. Sustainable fisheries, marine-based tourism, reducing marine pollution, and coastal management are key pillars of this initiative, but none can thrive if our seas remain choked with the debris. We need to view the challenge of marine debris not merely as a problem to solve, but as an opportunity to innovate, an opportunity to deploy cutting-edge technologies to create new, sustainable jobs and stimulate economic growth while protecting and preserving our cherished marine environment. Let us also not forget that creating more and better managed marine protected areas or MPAs is a critical aspect of our fight against marine debris. By expanding and enhancing our MPAs, we can create safe havens for the marine life, protect vital habitats, and allow for the natural process that help to cleanse our ocean of debris to operate unhindered. Our discussion today must also take into consideration the landmark initiative, the Global Plastic Treaty. This groundbreaking international agreement, now more than ever, needs our active engagement and commitment. It's a global recognition that the problem of the plastic pollution is not limited to any one region or country. It's a global problem that demands a global solution. This treaty aims to regulate the production, use, and disposal of plastic worldwide. It reminds us that the journey towards a plastic-free ocean begins on land. We must take a holistic approach, considering product design, resource use, waste management, and the complete cycle of the plastic product. Let this treaty guide our policies and innovations, ensuring that we not only remove debris from our seas, but also prevent it from entering the first place. Yet, while crucial, the treaty alone is not sufficient. That's why we are here today, to underscore the role of the technology and innovation must play in creating holistic and long-term solution to the marine debris. As we move forward, we need strong public-private partnership, investment in research and development, and inclusive policy making that bridges the gap between technology and sustainable growth. This will require the collective effort of governments, industry, academics, and civil society. Today, I invite you to not only listen, but to engage, questions, and collaborate. Together, we have the power to reverse the surge of marine debris, reinforce our commitment to global plastic treaty, and drive the blue economy forward, making it a shining example of sustainable development for both South Asia and the world. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the Indonesia and Vimala Hills in Puncak.
Terima
Thank you.
terima kasih Pak Bobby, and also terima kasih juga kepada Pak Padli joining us, basically giving us the remarks virtually and on video and also live inside the car. So we appreciate that so much. So basically, I also wish to acknowledge those outside in the presence of the members and the staffers of the AIPA Observer Parliamentarians as well, and some representative from the international organization. So thank you so much again for joining us. So let us begin. So it is my absolute pleasure to moderate this second session, as we do have a great lineup of expert panelists with us this morning from the ASEAN Secretariat, from ERIA, and also the UNCTAD. So after the session, we will open the floor for a question and answer session. So we will start with our first panelist. His name is Mr. Zulhilmi Saidin from the ASEAN Secretariat, who will be joining us online today. And he is an expert in urban sustainability, environment education, and water resource. So today he will share with us on the overview of marine debris condition in Southeast Asia and the role of Parliament in addressing the issue. So, Mr. Saidin, are you ready? So the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Madam
Thank
Moderator.
you.
His Excellency Architect Siti Rozai Merianti Datuk Haji Abdul Rahman, Secretary General ASEAN Inter-Parliamentary Organization AIPA, honorable members of Parliament, expert panels, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum and very good morning from ASEAN Secretariat Jakarta. I'm Zul Helmi, Senior Officer of Environment Division ASEAN Secretariat. It's an honor to me to be here online, and we sincerely appreciate the organizer for the invitation extended to ASEAN Secretariat for this presentation. On behalf of Environment Division and ASEAN Secretariat, I will provide an overview of the marine debris condition in Southeast Asia and discuss the crucial roles of Parliament in addressing this issue. Next slide. I cannot see my slide.
Do you have slides to share, Mr.
Yeah,
Zul?
I have slide. I think I already gave to organizer.
Can we open the slides, please?
Or from my side.
Would you like to share? Would you like to control it, or would you like us to control it?
You may control the slide, please. Okay, yeah, thank you. So this is the next, please. This is the key outlines of this presentation this morning from the marine plastic pollution in the ASEAN region, ASEAN leadership and initiative for addressing marine plastic pollution. Third one is key challenges and gap for addressing marine debris, roles of Parliament in addressing marine debris pollution, and key points for Parliament's consideration and support, and then key opportunities and lastly way forward. Next, please. So this is overview for the ASEAN and plastic pollution at a glance. Actually, ASEAN is 3% of the world total areas, and average annual growth is 1.3%. More than half of population, from about 800 million, projected to reside in the coastal area by 2050. And said that 6 of AMS are among the top 20 countries that to have mismanaged their plastic waste. So for recycle, 53% of the waste generated in the ASEAN is uncollected. Of the waste that is collected, less than a quarter is recycled. Next, please. Of this concern, ASEAN leadership and initiative as addressing the marine plastic pollution, they have 5 important framework and also policy that guided in the ASEAN way, including the ASEAN framework for circular economy, ASEAN sustainable consumption and production framework, ASEAN leaders declaration on blue economy, ASEAN strategic plans of custom development, and lastly, ASEAN regional action plans for combating marine debris. Next, please. In the regards to special ASEAN ministerial meeting on marine debris in Bangkok 2019, they have 2 key outcome documents, which are Bangkok Declaration on the combating marine debris in the ASEAN region, and also ASEAN Framework of Action on debris. So this is the important initial step of the documentation framework of ASEAN. Next, please. Another declaration is the ASEAN Blue Economy Framework. This is coming from the concrete follow-up from the ASEAN leaders declaring on the blue economy that adopted at the 8th ASEAN Summit 2021. The ASEAN Blue Economy Framework will be developed only in the perspective of economic potential of ASEAN water resources, but beyond the conservation and sustainability of the water resource management. This is the key priority area under the Indonesia ASEAN Chairmanship, and the framework will be developed by Indonesia together with the area. Next, please. So towards that, translating to ASEAN Framework of Action on Marine Debris into the regional action plans. So in that particular to ASEAN Framework of Action on Marine Debris, they have 4 components, which are policy support and planning, research innovation, capacity building, public awareness, education and outreach, and also private sector engagement. So to monitor this framework, actually there are lead sector bodies, which are ASEAN Senior Officer on Environments, and also working groups under ASEAN, which is ASEAN Working Groups on Coastal and Marine Environment. And also they have also supporting sector bodies that are related to the marine debris, which you can see in this slide. Please. Honorable members of parliament, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, under the purview of the ASEAN cooperation in the addressing marine debris, there are institutional frameworks under the ASEAN cooperation in the environment that lead by ASEAN Ministerial Meeting on Environments and ASEAN Senior Officer on Environment. They have dedicated working groups that are working on the marine plastic pollution. This is ASEAN working groups on coastal and marine environment, AWGCM. Next, please. As I mentioned before, coastal and marine environment working group is a dedicated working group that oversees the marine debris issue as outlined in the action plans and priorities area. As the cross-sectoral areas and also sectoral issues, the coastal is not only coastal marine environments that are monitoring the marine debris issue, but also another working group such as sustainable cities, chemical and waste, and also environment education that are focused on the sustainable consumption and production. Next, please. As you can see here, this is the ASEAN Regional Action Plans for Combating Marine Debris in ASEAN Member States. This is the latest publications in ASEAN that's addressing the maritime issues. They are published in 2021. There are three phases that are indicated in this publication. There are planning phases that enabling the conditions of the institutional setup, resource mobilization, and also communication and strategies. And towards the second phase is implementation phase. There are task force and also advisory groups and monitoring units. And lastly, they have monitoring reports and also evaluation phase that have to produce the annual reporting, midterm review, and also final evaluations. These are the main framework of these publications and also the framework of the action plan. Next, please. As I want to highlight here, under this framework and also publication, they have integration between the elements of the waste value chains and framework of action of the marine debris. There are four components, as I mentioned earlier: policy, supports and planning, research, innovation, and capacity building, public awareness, education and outreach, and also private sector engagement. They also have elements that reducing inputs into the system and also enhancing, collecting, and minimizing the leakage and also creating values for the waste. Next, please. As you can see here, they also have the initiative to combat marine debris. There are programs that we partner with the Japan for such this case, I guess. ASEAN Japan project on strengthening capacity for marine debris reductions in ASEAN region through formulation of national action for ASEAN member state and also integrated plan to see policy approach these Japan's and ASEAN Japan's cooperation projects. Besides that, they also have the ASEAN Norway cooperation project on the local capacity building for reducing plastic pollution in ASEAN regions. Next, please. And recently, they have huge programs that under environment and also ASEAN secretariats that collaborate with the World Banks and also UNOPS on the ASEAN Southeast Asia Regional Program to combat marine debris maps that have budgeted for the 20 million grant from World Banks for implementation for 5 years. These are very huge grants that supported for the strengthening the institution, harmonize the policies and project management and capacity for addressing the marine debris pollutions. And towards that, they also have projects and programs under Germany corporations, which is ASEAN Germany reduce, reuse, recycle to protect the marine environments and coral reef, CR-PROMA. This is also one of the projects and programs that under environmental missions that's streaming to the local cities and also national level to addressing this marine debris. Next, please. Besides, they also have a publication on the ASEAN sustainable consumption and production that's published in 2022 based on the SCP in the ASEAN in 2021. If I may highlight here, in line with this publication, also in line with SDG 12 to ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. That I want to highlight here is not for the policy and also framework this publication, but also to promote the sustainable lifestyle for the urban and rural setting. As you can see in last column, they also have household guidelines on the sustainable lifestyle that encourage people to address the sustainable and also towards the circular economy. Next, please. They also have a question on the analysis on the circular economy for plastic in the ASEAN member states. These are based on the cooperation with EU, and then they have a few recommendations. For example, the technical standards on the plastic and also recycled plastic and plastic products, and also the guideline on circularity in the plastic use. And also lastly, for the ASEAN framework agreement on the plastic pollution. In ASEAN also, we have the ASEAN Circular Economy Stakeholder Platform that's under ASEAN Center for Sustainable Development Studies and Dialogue based in Thailand. As you can see here, the secretariat also of the platform handle the engagement with the group such as academia, institution, consultant, private sectors, and also civil society and NGOs, where they have a regular reporting to ASEAN environment and also relevant ASEAN working groups, and also reporting back to ASEAN EU dialogues, and also collaboration on the joint projects with the ASEAN bodies, including under the ASEAN economic pillar. And also they also have a website platform, and also the publications as a policy and also good practice. Next, please. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, you are welcome to visit this site of the ASEAN Circular Economy Stakeholder Forum platform to search more on the knowledge hub and also the publications that related to circular economy, particularly in ASEAN. Next, please. This is the key challenges and gap for addressing marine debris. One of we think that there are lots of upstream players of the marine debris, and sometimes with the consistent policy and practice for the plastic industry and environment protections, in also AMS and also cities. So in this regard, we think there are the lack of coordination at the upstream level in this regard. So there are the needs to further action on the grounds, especially on the implementing ASEAN policy and guidance for the various level as a regional, national, city or community level. Okay, sorry, can you hear me back? So,
Yes, I can actually hear you.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Can you,
So
okay. Do you think
okay.
you can actually wrap things up in 3 minutes?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Thank you.
If you may to key opportunities. Okay, next, please. Okay, this is the key point for Parliament considerations and also support, especially for the needs more active engagement in addressing marine debris at the various point, and also need to oversee and ensure for better balance and consistency of the plastic industrial development and environment protection and conservation. And third one is to ensure policy practice well developed and implemented, and also promote sound investment, especially for the public and private addressing the marine debris, both for upstream and downstream, and strengthening further research management of the marine environment and marine debris, and lastly, further promotes adopting new technologies and innovation solutions. Next, please. There are few key opportunities, such as the information-based system and also knowledge event, and also policy dialogues, as such for this joint briefing. So for next, please. For way forwards, we welcome any key feedback and view, guidance or suggestion from this joint briefing. Next, please. This is the end of my presentation. For more information, you can access to ASEAN Environment Knowledge Hub to check the latest of news, publication, and so on. To that, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zaiden. Thank you so much for sharing the framework, and also indeed it's crucial to actually have collective efforts, both in the executive and also legislative sides. Thank you for sharing, and now we would like to actually move and invite to our next panelist, Mr. Rio Kawamura. He is the director of the Regional Knowledge Center for the Marine Plastic Debris from area. So I would like to welcome Mr. Rio, and I think you can use this microphone as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam, Your Excellencies. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. So, my name is Reo Kamura. I'm the director of the Regional Knowledge Center for Marine Plastic Debris at the Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia. This Regional Knowledge Center was established in 2019. Now we have newly joined with relevant international and research institutions, which was mentioned by Mr. Sardin, to provide support for ASEAN countries on the marine plastic debris issues on knowledge base and information basis. This morning, I represented a topic of management of marine plastic debris waste in the Southeast Asia. This is the three pillars of my presentation. At first, I'd like to show some key figures of the background and some urgencies. And I'd like to introduce the second pillar, that the key international and national initiatives. At last, the third pillar, I'd like to show you some good practices. Mr. Sardin has presented Mr. Sardin's presentation has well covered the broad range of policy initiatives conducted in ASEAN countries and ASEAN areas. My presentation will focusing more on each key figures and key messages, and I'd like to also focus on some key individual policy options as a third pillar. Okay, next slide, please. This is a key plastic pollution fact. Plastic production is growing at a very significant pace, 8.4% increase per year. And the second is the plastic leakage. I'd like to note that not all of the produced plastics are harmful for environment. Part of the plastic is stored as materials of the buildings or cars or some products, and other part of the plastics are appropriately disposed, including recycling, incinerations, and landfills. However, significant amount of the plastic waste are leaked to the oceans. There's many such kind of estimate, but one famous global estimate shows that the leakage amount of 8 million metric tons per year. So it is very huge amount. So please think about it. At the global level, we are throwing 2 million elephants into the ocean per year. It is very significant environmental impact you can see about that. Next slide, please. And repeatedly mentioned in this joint briefing that the Southeast Asia countries are considered as one of the biggest contributors for the plastic leakage to the oceans. However, I'd like to note that not only generated or consumed in the consumed plastic in these ASEAN regions, but also imported plastic waste from developed countries also problematic. So at the total of the imported plastic debris and imported and generated in these regions, the South Asia countries are among the biggest contributors of the marine plastic debris. Next slide, please. To address this problem, there is international effort. It is also mentioned in the previous speakers. It is called Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee. We call INC on plastic pollution. It is established to aim to develop the international legally binding instrument. That means, as previous keynote speakers mentioned, this problem should be solved not by one country, not by some countries, but we should combat with this global crisis by every countries, including developed countries and developing countries. So this INC was held twice. At the first INC first was held in the Punta del Este in Uruguay last year. And the key takeaways are written here that different countries may require different approaches. This key takeaways are also mentioned in the previous keynote speakers. And the second one is waste pickers are the forefront of the solution. They have important role of separate and collect the waste, and some collected waste can be recycled. So they have very important role. And the public-private partnership is also written in this key takeaway, enabling business to support the government as partner in solving the problems. And the second INC was held in Paris, France this year, May to June. And this has important takeaways. At the first, draft agreement to be developed before the next INC 3 in Nairobi, Kenya. And this INC 3 will be held this November. So we have not so many times, but the international negotiators in the environmental diplomacy are eager to combat with this schedule. And the need to look at the plastic crisis as related topic with other environmental problems are also very important. It is mentioned in the G7 Hiroshima Summit declarations also that every environmental problems are correlated and interconnected. The marine plastic debris is one of the significant cause of the biodiversity degradation, and solving marine plastic debris by establishing circular economy can contribute to the reduction of the greenhouse gas emissions. So every environmental problems are correlated. And the importance of the global plastic mitigation agreements platform organization and countries to discuss is also key takeaways. And you can see in the previous presentation that many research institutes and international institutes are working for coordination of the global plastic mitigation issues. Area was mentioned only once in the previous presentation, but our role is expanding right now. Anyway, the next slide, please. And this slide shows one of the good news of this marine plastic debris issues, because the previous presentation shows the ASEAN level initiatives, and under this ASEAN level initiatives, already some ASEAN countries have established national action plan to combat with marine plastic debris. Indonesia, Malaysia, and Vietnam was presented in this, displayed in this slide. Each national action plan sorted out the goal of the reduction and time span and some possible options of the policy, some of the possible policy options of the countermeasure of the marine plastic debris. Next, so I'd like to shift the focus on the individual policy options, and I'd like to show you first Japan's good practice. Japan has a voluntary guideline for, sorry, the previous slide, please. The Japan's best practice is on design for recycling is a voluntary guideline, the PET bottles. You can see in Japan that every drinking water and beverages and shoyu or other Japanese spices are bottled in the PET bottles. So the recycling PET bottle is a very significant issue in Japan. And in order to implement the harmonized design for this PET bottle, which materialize easier recycling of the PET bottle, the voluntary guideline was developed by private sectors. And you can find the English version also. And this PET bottle, I'd like to explain more about it in the next slide, but you can find that Japan collection rate of the PET bottle was 96.7%. So almost every PET bottle sold in Japan is collected, and some are actually incinerated, some are actually down recycled, but you can find bottle-to-bottle recycling rate has reached to 32% of the total recycling volume. And this harmonized design will be the key for also in ASEAN countries, I hope, to materialize easier recycling of the PET bottles. Okay, so what makes the voluntary guideline materialize for easier recycling is the next slide. You can find that at first in Japan, it's very hard to find colored PET bottle. Most of the PET bottles are non-colored. Because non-colored PET can be recycled very easy, but colored PET bottle is hard to be recycled, and the amount is very small in Japan. So the colored PET, recycling colored PET bottle is very costful. So it's not popular. So the private sector of Japan has decided this design for recycling, and the caps also have also applied to this harmonized design. Every caps are different plastics are used, PE or PP, so not the PET. And that's why Japanese consumers are collect the PET bottles and bring to the waste collection site, but bottles and caps are clearly separated. And because the PET has no coloring, the labels are very important to find in the, which bottles has what. And the labels can be removed very easily because each label has perforation. So you can separate PET bottles, PET bottle labeling, PET bottle caps. So it's very easy to separate the bottles for proper recycling route. This kind of harmonized design are motivated by the Japan's Packaging Recycling Act. It mandates every producer of the PET bottle to pay recycling fee to the designated association, which is responsible to recycling and collection of the PET bottles. So the recycling fee is decided, the actual cost of the recycling and collections. So they are motivated to materialize easier recycling, less costful recycling. That's why they decided to establish this voluntary guideline, imposing themselves this harmonized design. This is the Japan's case. Next slide, please. Oh, okay. Next slide is also the Japan's case. This is intermunicipal waste management. Even in Japan, the lack of resources are very problematic to implement the appropriate disposal of the waste. So intermunicipal cooperation is very encouraged and promoted. In this case, near the Fuji Mountain, Gotemba City and Oyama City has collaboratively established one incineration center. That makes the economy of scale of the collection of the waste that can reduce the cost of operation and investment. Next slide, please. I'd like to show you two Indonesian local government case to ban the single use of plastic by local government. In Bali, where the many tourists come into this area every year, Governor Regulation number 97, 2018 was established to ban the use of plastic materials in Bali. You can see plastic bags, plastic straws, styrofoam are very popular among the tourists, especially by foreign tourists. But the regulation was taken into effect on July 1st, 2019. Okay, so no plastic bag, no plastic straw, no styrofoam can be provided to the tourists. So they have to find the alternatives. So every plastic bag was changed to PET reusable bag, and the tourists can have no more plastic straw and styrofoam in Bali. That makes the huge result. Almost 50 to 60% of the plastic bag, plastic straw, and styrofoam was abolished from this area. And next slide. Next slide is the similar regulation was established and implemented in Jakarta. It is called Governor Regulation number 142 2019. Which bans the use of disposable plastic bags and requires shopping mall management and traditional market to use environmentally friendly shopping bags. So I found in Jakarta supermarket has no longer provide any single-use plastic bags. And in front of the cash register, we have to buy some reusable bags. So I have my own reusable bag every time I go to the supermarket in Jakarta. Next slide, please. The third country is the Philippines. It is very ambitious act was established. The Extended Producer's Responsibility Act was established in 2022. It is followed by Strategy 2 of the National Action Plan of this Philippines. This EPR Act is covered a broad range of the plastics, sachet labels, laminates, rigid plastic packages, plastic bags, and styrofoam. And what is required, next slide please. The EPR in the Philippines have broad range of actions: waste segregation, source and collection, waste reduction, waste recovery, recycling, the development of environmental friendly products, everything about the extended producer responsibility. In order to make smooth implementation of this broad range of the act, the Philippines government has conducted the staff of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, DENR. Already 15 employees have been trained. And this training is very important to provide standardized messaging to the relevant stakeholders. As I said, this EPR law covers broad range of action and broad range of stakeholders. So this training is very important for implementation. Okay, next slide, please. The last but not least, Director President of Singapore. Singapore has established the Depository Fund Scheme Act. So the National Environmental Agency will implement this scheme for beverage container as the first phase of EPR implementation. Under this scheme, all prepackaged beverages, plastic bottles, metal cans, have required a deposit, the amount of 10 cents each. Each can, each bottle, consumer pays more, 10 cents more to the ordinary prices. This deposit should be refundable anytime. So producers must use or finance take back of used beverage containers with refund offered to consumers. Maybe this will motivate producers to make easier collection or less plastic use, or such kind of extended producer responsibility actions are best because of this newly established depository fund scheme. So each country has each solutions, and I just picked up this in this presentation related to the extended producer's responsibilities. So you can find, maybe I hope some of the best practices can be hint or food for thought for the upcoming actions in the ASEAN countries. Okay, so this is what next slide is my final slide, I think. Okay, this is the end of my presentation. You can find updated research results and updated policy information and the knowledge about the marine plastic debris can be found in the area's website and various at least four SNS accounts. So please check and see and check and get updated information from area regional knowledge center of the marine plastic debris. Thank you very much.
Kawadmuna-san, thank you so much. I'd be really interested to hear more about the intermunicipal cooperation, if that can be replicated later. That's excellent. Hola, David, are you there?
Yes, good morning. Can you listen to me?
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Excellent. So should I proceed with the presentation?
Yes, please.
1 second, let me share. Good morning to everybody. My name is David Vivas. I'm the Chief of Trade and Environment Section in UNCTAD. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, let me just go for it. 1 second. Can you see it now, full?
Yeah.
Or should I shift?
No, it's full.
Is it better now? It's full. Okay, then I'll go. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to make a presentation on solutions to the issue of marine debris and plastic pollution. I'm going to be making this presentation in 3 blocks. I will first list, and this may be very interesting for parliamentarians, all the potential control measures that member states can apply internally through regulation. Parliamentarians are the regulators in all our nations, and to which ones are available at hand under the multilateral trade system and could be used today. There will be 2 levels, measures at the border and the measures in internal markets. After, I will be presenting an interesting alternative for developing countries in moving away from plastic pollution, which is the issue of substitutes and alternatives. And finally, I will be presenting briefly 5 case studies on products and different materials that could be used today and that are not polymer based. So I'll start. It's going slowly. I'm sorry. Yes. The first slide, you will see a list of the control and mitigation measures that you can take at the border. So regulating trade. The first, you can use tariff that you can move upward to any plastic produced product or polluting products or chemical additives to the consolidated ceilings on the WTO. In developing countries, usually is 40%. I will show later in a slide that all tariff products, all plastic products and all chemical additives have very low tariffs because they're industrial products. That's different than natural products. We have a huge contradiction in the multilateral trade system. Second, you can apply import bans. Several has been mentioned just this morning. In the case of Indonesia, you can have import quotas, meaning the amount of certain plastics and materials or polluting materials that you may want to receive or subject them to licenses, so they are subject to requirements such as recycling. You can have also export measures in case you don't want plastic products or polluting products to be exported, and you can use defense measures. Then in the internal market, you have even a much larger scope to take measures. The first are economic and monetary incentives, meaning taxes or fees. You can have higher taxes on polluting materials, but also you can have lower taxes on biodegradable and natural products. You can have introduce recycling and packaging fees. You can use public procurement. That's a very strong economic incentive to require to purchase only products that can be treated by your waste management systems, whether recycling or that are biodegradable or compostable. You can phase out fossil fuel subsidies. Many countries are still subsidizing the polymer sector, and that reduces even the price of plastics, and this is very difficult to compete by other products. You can have extended product responsibility, as mentioned recently in the case of the Philippines, and you can have different design and quality standards requiring exclusion of certain chemicals and additives. Sometimes some of the additives in plastics and many of the waste products or the products we produce are worse than the polymer itself. And you may have recycling targets and other measures for control, monitoring, and management. You can have services. You can enable services liberalization or allowing investment in waste management capacities. In most developing countries, waste management capacities are low, and our recycling capacities are also very low, usually less than 10%. So receiving private investment, public-private partnerships, or expanding public capacities are always very important in the end of the pipe process. Now, this is the first set of measures. You have it there. You have the presentation. Will we go to parliamentarians, take a look and see which is the best for their country? Now, a second set of solutions without the defensive measures, meaning control measures, it's if we have several bad products, including polymers and certain chemicals and synthetic products, what will be the alternative for use? Obviously, one is to reduce the consumption, the other is to reuse, as circular economy always tells us, but the other is to substitute. And there are two types of materials that can be used for substitution, one less controversial and very useful today and applicable to developing countries, one a little bit more controversial in the discussion, but better than fossil fuel-based plastics. Those are what we call plastic substitutes, and these are basically materials of mineral, plant, marine, or animal origin that are not polymers. What am I talking about? I'm talking about natural fibers, I'm talking about agricultural waste, I'm talking about seaweed, I'm talking about also mineral-based products like glass that come from sand, aluminum that both have high recyclability rates. These products have to be recyclable, reusable, biodegradable, compostable, or erodible, depending on the material. They should have a lower environmental impact, and they shouldn't be harmful for any form of life. The second group of products are what we call plastic alternatives, and in this basket we include all bioplastics, biopolymers, and biodegradable plastics. Obviously, they should try to be recyclable, biodegradable, and compostable, but that depends on the type of bioplastic. Some bioplastic can be only compostable after 50-degree temperatures and through mechanical or chemical means. So they are not perfect, but in theory, they have a lower greenhouse emissions because they are not using fossil fuels and they don't decompose in the same manner. They should not be harmful, or at least many of them are less harmful than natural polymers, especially if, fossil fuel polymers, especially if we consider the additives. In theory, they are better plastics, but they're still being plastics. In this regard, UNCTAD has developed a list of all the plastic substitutes, meaning non-polymer materials, non-fossil fuel-based polymer materials that can be used today with technologies, whether innovative, traditional, or existing technologies, to substitute plastics in n number of uses at the consumer and at the production level. And here we have identified those products against what we call HS codes. HS codes are the harmonized system codes that allow traceability, monitoring, payment of tariffs at the border. And we find more products in certain groups that are used today, mainly wood and other type of woods, including bamboo, and I will go deeper, paper, wool, vegetable, textiles, fiber, aluminum. We also have seaweed and others. And this list of products is already available. The study is there. You can check yourself and see what you can produce. The beauty is that they vary from country to country. Now, we have estimated their value, and this is interesting. Initially, we thought they were not very much traded, and it happens to be the contrary. The value of plastic substitutes, again, natural-based materials that could be used today to substitute many plastic use and other synthetic material use, such as nylon, etc., it represents 388 billion. This is 2/3 of the global plastic trade. What does it mean? That we can scale up production of this and start substituting plastics and other synthetic materials for natural materials today. And there is a big number. You can see that natural fibers is very important. Also, plant materials and mineral-based materials. Also, animal even, like wool. So there are opportunities here for all countries. Now, I was mentioning that in international trade, we have found a significant inconsistent, and this is due to the existence in the WTO of an agricultural agreement and the GATT that deals with industrial products. And at the multilateral level, countries has been more keen in reducing tariff to industrial products than to agricultural products, but agricultural products include two forms. Food products, for which there are many defensive measures and many food security concerns, but also non-food products. Many agricultural or agricultural waste, non-food products, are the best substitutes to plastic today. They are natural, biodegradable, they do not pollute, they don't have chemicals, they can be used now. And what is happening today, that even that plastic materials are cheaper by nature, they are also subject to very low tariff compared to all the natural materials. And you can see that, for example, for a grocery bag is about 9% tariff average. And when you talk about jute, which is produced in Bangladesh, for example, to make bags that are very useful to export commodities from developing countries, coffee, cocoa, etc., the tariff is 16%. So even if plastics are cheaper, we make them even more cheaper compared to any natural material. So we have a huge inconsistency. We are favoring synthetic and chemical materials, sadly. Now, we have developed, to avoid any confusion and any negative impact on the environment, a life cycle analysis online available, where you can compare any natural substitute against plastic or synthetic materials. Here we have an example of banana leaf plates against polyethylene plates, and obviously banana leaf plates do much better in relation to most environmental indicators. So this you can do yourself. You have the link. You can check two different products that you produce and check which one has the best environmental performance in life cycle analysis at very low cost. So you can make your own decision. This is available. Please play with it, and you will find very interesting results for your own policy. Finally, I'm going to start going now into the cases. Sorry if there's a lot of information to be done in this short time, but I will try. The first is an innovation in the UK done by an Spaniard and a French, and they develop a packaging material, but also sachets for sauces. Imagine this for soy sauce or fish sauce. You know, these packaging are made from seaweed. They are edible. You can eat them. They are biodegradable. They decompose like fruit in less than a week. And the paper version is less than 2 weeks. They biodegrade. They don't have any chemical. This is revolutionary. Can be used today. We need to scale up. It can put you in contact with these companies if anybody's interested in the ASEAN region and other countries to do. The second is biosolutions. They are making containers for food, but other purposes made from agricultural waste, so fully circular. These can use wheat straw, hemp, nettle, barley straws, but also we could perhaps do it with bagasse. For example, we have a lot of biomass or agricultural waste from different tropical agricultural products. So this technology is also available to make containers. We have another case study. We have an international organization on bamboo in BAME and China, and basically, especially for the ASEAN region, bamboo is a very interesting alternative to wood, but also to plastics. It's used in construction, in furniture, in producing of textiles, in producing of roof material, in producing of straws. We have a case not only in Asia, we have a case in Jamaica where we have a company called Bambusa that is substituting all straws from plastics with bamboo straws for all hotels in the Caribbean. And this is a material that is available, absorbs carbon, very nice ecological footprint, and grows very quickly. So another example, and this is available today. For example, there is a picture there of the airport in Madrid, which is an international airport, and all the ceiling is done with bamboo. So we could have many ways to use these materials today, and a lot of traditional knowledge related to that. I have another example here from the Philippines called Banana Tex, which is a company that was using traditional knowledge basically to use abaca from banana plants to develop textiles. That was done by many indigenous communities in the Philippines for generations, but they decided to industrialize the process, and they are now down some very nice textiles. If you go to the website, some even look like silk, and it's mechanical. There is no chemicals involved except for the colorants, and the colorants are usually done natural dyes to avoid any other purpose, and it's fully recyclable. So this is a beautiful product done with a plant that after producing the fruit is not used anymore. So this is fantastic. The other one, a little bit more difficult, this is the case of a bioplastics with PVAT, BLA, and other material and calcium carbonate that you find also in corals and other species. But basically, this is interesting for fishing nets. It's still a bioplastic because we have not yet found a natural material to do fishing nets, because fishing nets have to support weight and the drag effort and has to be reused many times. So now we found a way to do through this company called Gaia Materials to have biodegradable fishing nets. So in case get lost, they get degraded in a couple of months. So this is very interesting. It's a much better option than the nylon nets, and it's also available. We'll see if we can go to a natural, fully natural product, but not yet the technology to make it so resistant. But this is the best possible, again, on the market today, and also can be applied for the ASEAN region. We can also put you in contact to start transforming all the fishing efforts to a much better nets, especially for small-scale fishers. And again, it's available today. So with these examples, we have plenty. We have plenty more. We have, I don't know, about 50 different types of biomaterials and plastic substitutes that can be used today with different technologies, including traditional knowledge. And we would like to just start showing countries that there are alternatives beyond traditional plastics that can generate development, generate employment, have a low ecological impact or zero impact, and be as circular as possible. With that, I would thank you all for your time. In UNCTAD, you will have at the end of the presentation all our contacts. I'm trying to move, but I find a problem. But you can talk with James and team, and we are available to support ASEAN member states in transitioning out of waste and unnecessary, harmful, and plastics and other type of polymers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David, especially I know given the hour in Geneva, so we appreciate it. I think we had to wake him up at 5 a.m. Okay, so we are now moving on to session 3. I'm the moderator. In this session, we will hear 3-minute interventions from AIPA member parliaments. This will be roll call in alphabetical order, and I believe Pat Suyoi, you're up first.
Thank you very much, Mr. John Watt, the Assistant Director of UNCTAD, of ICCF. Yes. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of my delegation. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning, everyone. Actually, marine debris is a pressing issue, not just in Brunei, as I found out, but also globally. And as part of a whole nation approach to address marine debris in Brunei Darussalam, the Department of Environment, Parks and Recreation, Ministry of Development has launched a nationwide coastal cleanup, coastal marvel we call it, in conjunction with the World Environment Day 2021. The campaign covered 7 main beaches and had received encouraging participation from all stakeholders, from government agencies, NGOs, private sectors, and as well as public volunteers. The department has also launched what we call the Marine Debris Cleanup Handbook on 11 June 2022, also in conjunction with World Environment Day 2022, which is aimed to guide the public in conducting and organizing coastal cleanup campaign in a proper manner, and to further encourage coastal cleanup campaign from among NGOs and the public on their own, where the total waste collected will be reported back to the Department of Environment, Parks and Recreation. And we do have a lot to report back actually on this matter. Public waste, plastic waste, particularly single-use plastics, has also been identified as one of the issues that the government wishes to tackle and resolve effectively, with public waste, plastic waste making up 29% of the some 496 ton of disposed material in landfill in 2021. This may be small in comparison with other countries, but Brunei being a very small country, this represents a huge amount of waste being thrown into the environment. With the main sources of public plastic debris found in the ocean being land-based, the Department of Environment, Parks and Recreation launched several initiatives to reduce the use of plastics, such as a plastic bottle-free initiative in 2018 and No Plastic Bag Everyday initiative, which has been carried out face by face since 2011 to include every day of the week today. More recently, to support the Department of Environment, Parks and Recreation in reducing the amount of plastic waste, plastic items have been subjected to Brunei dollars $5 per kilogram excise tax with the recent update to custom import and excise duties. And this comes into effect on 17 May 2023, replacing the previous 3% tax, so now it has become 5%. Aside from the aforementioned initiative, the Department of Environment, Parks and Recreation is also promoting and enhancing innovative and sustainable solutions to combat marine debris as part of the National Action Plan. This include organizing a floating waste collector conceptual design competition involving higher education institutions and in developing cost-effective solutions and technology that can collect and manage waste along the Brunei River. The competition saw encouraging participation, one of which was in the form of semi-autonomous robot vessel integrated with a sensor system that can collect various types of waste such as floating plastics and make use of artificial intelligence. Initiatives such as this would hopefully further encourage or spur innovation and corporate technology, particularly in the management of marine debris. Aside from that, it is also vital for us to promote public awareness on the status and impacts of marine debris and microplastics, as well as promote platforms for knowledge sharing, innovative solutions and best practices to combat marine debris as part of the National Action Plan to combat marine debris. All our effort actually is small compared to what I heard today from the various organizations. We are therefore delighted at the opportunity to be here this morning joint briefing, as more can be learned from the experience of those facing similar problem. And organizations such as AIPA, UNCTAD, and ICCF and regional bodies are well placed to share their knowledge of these issues and how they are tackled in respective countries. We do not seem to be successful in tackling the marine debris problem on our own, but collectively we can make significant progress through innovative technology, through sharing of good practices, and although the approaches may be different, but through other experiences, we hope we can also significantly reduce the amount of waste in our country. So I'm very thankful to the organizer for this morning session, and there's a lot of takeaway from what we heard this morning, and we hope some of those can be sort of implemented in our own country. And if there is an opportunity in the future, we should like to report how we make progress on this matter, actually, Mr. Assistant Director. As I said, there's a lot to be learned, and more still need to be learned from others' experiences. Our problem may be small in comparison, but it's still a big issue to us. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. John.
Thank you, Suyoe. Paputu.
Thank you. She's not here now,
but I have to mention Her Excellency Secretary General of AIPA, Ibu Siti Rosa Merianti, Dato Haji Abdul Rahman. I think she left already to catch a flight to Yogyakarta. So Honorable Asia Director of ICCF Group, Mr. Jim Ward. So I met you in Phnom Penh last time as an observer for AIPA General Assembly. Honorable Representative Official from UNCTAD, and he's online, Mr. David Vivas, and also Honorable Heads and Member of Delegation of AIPA Member Parliaments. Honorable panelists, ladies and gentlemen, first, thank you for the opportunity. I would like to, of course, welcome all of you as a member, as the Vice Chair of the Inter-Parliamentary Cooperation of Indonesian House to Indonesia, of course, and to Bogor. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Putu Supadma Rudana, Vice Chair of the Committee for Inter-Parliamentary Cooperation of the Indonesian House of Representatives, and I'm also here with Honorable Ravindra Hartanto. He's a very young and talented member of Parliament, and it is an honor for me to be here. I learned so much, but I think this is an important issue for me, because I have to mention that I'm from, my constituency is in Bali. So Bali, I think, has been mentioned earlier from Mr. Ryo Kawamura, has maybe take innovative step, of early step, even before than other island or other province. As mentioned earlier, Governor Bali Regulation number 97 of 2018 to ban the use of plastic materials in Bali and implemented in the 1st of July 2019. But also in Indonesia, already has a presidential decree number 83, 2018 on marine debris management, plan of action on marine plastic debris 2017-2025, as also mentioned by Mr. Ryo Kawamura earlier. Our country also aimed to reduce the disposal of plastic waste into the sea by up to 70% by 2025, and it was reported that our country has managed to reduce 38% of marine debris until the end of 2022. So I have to mention about the local wisdom. I think in ASEAN, in many parts of the world, there's a local wisdom, an early stage. I think everybody not using plastic, but because of lifestyle, make it everything much cheaper, easier, everybody move to use plastics. But if we can go to local wisdom, start with our local wisdom, I think everywhere, everybody using like bamboos, as mentioned earlier by Honorable Vivas, using like other than material like seaweeds, because in Bali there's a large producer of seaweeds. I think that's a good example of how I think local wisdom can support these global challenges regarding the marine debris of plastic. But in Bali, we have the philosophy of Trihita Karana, the harmonious relation between human to human, human to gods, and human to nature. But in our committee, we also launched a white paper on green economy, how we can manage the growth sustainably, and also how we can make people involved in all the economic improvement, all in economic activities. In addition, how we can also save the environment. Those three important things in our white paper of green economy. So I think we in Parliament also, in our committee, because now we, with the Committee of Inter-Parliamentary Cooperation, we already have a white paper regarding that. But there's such a great challenges because we have to tackle about the transition of energy, because we now have to, already, like we still using the fossil fuel. Sometimes we're using the battery electrical vehicle. But the problem, the source of energy is not sustainable. They use coals sometimes, or even fossil fuel. So there's not sustainable over there. So the source has to be taken care also. Probably like more sustainable source, like solar, like wind, hydro, and everything. But why do I have to mention this? I think this is almost similar problem, how we can mitigate climate change and how we can solve the problem of the world regarding these issues, and also regarding, of course, the marine debris from plastics. But I think first point is regarding the philosophy. I think we should engage and understand more about local philosophy, because I'm from Bali, the philosophy of Trihita Karana. I think we have to support and promote this. Not only how we can live in more sustainable in terms of economic, but also how we can save the environment, and then how we can also have the harmonious relation with God, because it is very important. And I asked from the ICCF group, and also from the UNCTAD, and also from AIPA, to let's promote local wisdom. I think we can learn so much from local wisdom. But in addition from that, I think work closely together to achieve SDGs 2030 is very important also, because Goal 13 on climate action and Goal 14 on life below water, I think we cannot solve this alone. Every country have to work together. Every international organization have to work together. We do understand and we do agree. And from our part in Parliament, I think we trying to make the law to hopefully in the future to ban the use of plastic and to have the replacement material to be used as day-to-day activities, for example, like the bag and everything. But in conclusion, I think what do I have to mention is there has to be a campaign, global campaign on this. Campaign and how to not use plastic, campaign on how to separate the debris, because in Indonesia and ASEAN, I think a few countries have done it, but maybe most of the countries haven't done it. And campaign with the youth, younger generation. I think they really more understand, and they really more into the renewables thing, and also they're into more movement in more clean energy, using clean energy, and also using more how to say, recycle items. So I think we need to use them as the youth and the young generation to have campaign. First about campaign. Second is about action. Action convincing. Action of persuading. I think this is to persuade, could convince community and people, because it has to be bottom up, not top down. Because it actually has to be from the people, bottom up, not top down. So in Bali we can see, so nobody is now using a plastic bag as a single use. Everybody have their own bag. So I think we have to actually have the action to convince and to persuade everybody avoiding use of plastic. The third one is the synergy with the local government. I call it pentahelix. Government and also community, and of course from the university and media. Of course, there's a parliament. Parliament includes probably in the government, and then the last thing, of course, the NGO and businesses. The 5 elements. I think we have to work closely together to have a synergy, and synergies between country. For example, in ASEAN with AIPA, with IPU globally, of course. And then, I have to mention those things. And the next thing is recycle culture. So we have to promote this, recycle culture. So I do agree with Honorable Mr. Rio Kawamura, because we have to create this as a culture of recycle. Like you already mentioned about the cap of the bottle. So it's go beyond ordinary. I mean, So we have to have that culture of recycle. And the last one is inspiration and the champions and movement, because there has to be a champion who can lead this. So in the term of central government, local government, parliament, community, people, so try not to just find from the people, but find from all the organization, because they the role model of everybody. So I think I'm trying to mention that there has to be someone from the government, central government, from local government, from parliament, and of course from the community and from the people. So you have to have champion from all the people, and of course from women, because I do really agree that if women involved in everything, everything's going to be better. And of course, the last thing about the movement. Action is one thing, but the movement is the next thing. So we have to move forward together to solve this problem. I thank you, ICCF. I thank you, UNCTAD. I thank you, AIPA. I think if we work together, we have the movement together forward, hopefully in the future we can solve this problem together. I thank you. I'm sorry to take more than 3 minutes, but I mentioned a lot, and I hope this can also give more ideas and also sharing information, and hopefully more campaign. And I personally would love to support you to have a campaign or movement on this, because it's a very important thing. It's not only, like you said, about the electorals. It's about our planet, it's about our people, it's about the sustainable prosperity to the world, and of course, within the universe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Secretary General of ASEAN Interparliamentary Assembly, Ms. Siti, Honorable Asia Director of ICCF, Mr. James Ward, Honorable Representative and officials from UNCTAD, Honorable Heads and members of delegations of AIPA member parliaments, panelists, ladies and gentlemen. In regards in our upcoming AIPA presidency, we are proposing a resolution on accelerating green transition for economic growth, mainly focusing on a comprehensive transition from a linear to a circular model of the economy. This is very aligned with our aim of reducing marine debris, and we hope all AIPA members would give their inputs to the resolution, which we will put forth on the General Assembly. As mentioned by Mr. Rio, we have, similar to Malaysia and other countries, we have developed a national plan of action which has multiple criteria and dimensions. And we hope to benchmark the practices of these criteria and dimensions with peer countries in ASEAN and the world, so we can see what works and what doesn't, and what are the relevant best practices. So I will briefly mention the criteria that we put forth in our National Action Plan. First, we want to reduce the plastic production and use. Mr. David stated that there are a variety of biomass-based plastics that can replace fossil fuels, fossil-based, which has a competitive cost. This information can be disseminated and spread across the ASEAN community as well as others to see which biomass source is most realistic for them given their natural resource endowments. Second, first, as Mr. Putu mentioned, behavioral change is a key cornerstone. 38% of our waste is originating from our households. They are not segregated, so organic waste and inorganic waste at the final landfill are not segregated, and this increases the cost for landfill management. As a result, our recycling PET plants imports plastic waste because it's more cheaper to import plastic waste than to sort it out themselves. So this creates a problem as well. So I think behavioral change, such as giving a 10-cent deposit, which will be refunded once the PET is returned to a drop-off point, could be a relevant solution, as Mr. Rio mentioned. Second, we want to reduce land-based and sea-based leakage. Third, we want to enhance funding mechanism. So the question is, how do we make the polluters pay? How do other countries make the polluters pay? Because the cost of externality is borne by everyone, as plastic debris is inherently a transboundary issue, as ocean current circulates all this. Second, I would like to highlight is the biodiversity loss. Biodiversity holds a lot of economic value as opposed to as well, because a lot of medicines, pharmaceutical chemicals can be derived from bioprospecting. A lot of cancer-based medications are from coral reef systems. In short, we are determined to assist building synergies between the Interparliamentary Committee and the Ocean Caucus, and are grateful for this chance. We hope to share best practices and best criteria to base maintain our oceans. Thank you so much.
Okay, Pak Bobby, nanti ya, sekarang.
Yeah, test. Could you hear my voice?
Yes, yep.
Okay, this is a general questions for all the participants. If we can collaborate. First, how can capacity building and knowledge sharing be enhanced among the Southeast Asian countries to promote the adoption or replication of the successful technology and innovation solutions for marine debris management? We need some best. Maybe all the participants have some references and the academic research. So is there any particular items or things that can Indonesia adopt or maybe relevant to build and knowledge sharing? And for the UNCTAD, first, how can government and business collaborate to promote the adoption of the traditional plastic substitutes in developing countries where resources might be limited, just like in Indonesia? And what strategies that can be employed to encourage research and development of new and environmentally friendly materials that can replace traditional plastic, especially if the cost of production is still not really meet the economic standard in our region. Thank you, Pak Jimmy.
Thanks, Pak Bobby. Speakers, anyone want to go first? David?
I can if, yes, I can
ahead.
if nobody, yes, plus, first I would like to thank all the comments by previous speakers, and I love the statements about local solutions. First, we tend to forget that waste management is mainly done at the local city level and not at sub-federal or national level. And this is a very important factor because enabling policies while the central government can coordinate through the Minister of Environment on waste management, recycling, and create the right incentives. At the end, the one managing the waste are cities and local governments that are usually not very active at the international level, and they need a lot of support in technological and policy levels. That's one. Also the same on about local wisdom. I fully subscribe what was said that we used to use traditional products, natural-based materials, even in our lifetime. I still remember when, before the Coca-Cola PET bottles arrived to my own country, we used to use traditional materials, even glass, and you just would substitute the drink and wouldn't have any waste. So there were many solutions available at that time, and we could recover many of them, including natural packaging materials. We used banana leaf to distribute food and many other things, and then it was substituted, but not very ecological materials. So we can go back to local wisdom. Now, on capacity building, the question that I got, yes, first we need to think out how to replicate these innovative solutions. I presented some today. What we can do, and if our partners and the ASEAN is interested, we can also have a different workshop bringing all these private sector initiatives so they can present themselves and you can link directly with them and see which ones you can take. Not only from the ones I have presented, from Japan, from ASEAN itself, I presented what from the Philippines. So you have allies already in and out that could be ready to share technology and work together. Sorry, I have to change the battery is going low. Sorry, I have a small problem. The second point on private-public cooperation, I think that's essential. First, on the public side, and this is very important on the role of parliamentarians, we need to have an enabled environment. Again, the policies we have today tend to benefit plastic materials, synthetic materials. This is very sad, but this is a reality. So we need to, you have again many tools that you can use. You can raise tariff and set bans on plastics. You can reduce taxes and create incentive for the plastic substitutes to emerge. Most of the material biomass is in our countries, only the different ones. It's based on they are labor intensive, so they can create jobs. So first, the neighboring environments, you can also start creating associations of these plastic substitutes and alternative producers. They are not organized in almost any country. They don't have a conscience of themselves. There is a boom of innovation, there is a boom of traditional use, but it's not coordinated. And that's another area where we can work together. On research and development, of course, again, they could be within the public research and development networks, lines of research, and that's where government intervention help, basically financing the best possible plastic substitute based on natural endowments and natural materials and local labor that could be produced. We have the issue of the price, but the more and more I see some of the most recent innovations, they are starting to be price competitive also, especially if the materials can be reused. And also if we start having taxes on recycling and extended product responsibility on harmful products, even more competitive. So I think it's an issue of looking each of the different substitutes available one by one and check which are the one of the cheapest, but all of the ones that I presented today tend to have a very good competitive price, especially in the competition with single-use materials. So that's it. Thank you, sir.
Excellent. Pade Blacksono, did you have anything? Dave? They're both in a meeting. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, they're in Surabaya.
May I can say something?
Yes, Admiral Chaiwat. Welcome. Welcome, please.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have one suggestion for our meeting, our conference about the laugh of the marine debris floating at the sea of the Southeast Asia. I think we should have the cooperation between our countries, our Southeast Asia country, to set up the unit and budget together to dispose them out, clean our sea. Because of if we still leave them without doing anything, I think in the future, which get more danger for all of human and sea animal. That is my suggestion from Thailand side. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chaiwat. Any response from the speakers? Mr. Kawamura?
Well, thank you for this question and about the cooperation between countries and the regions and worldwide. This is the most important point, which is discussed in the INC of the INC 1 to 3 consecutive international stages. And I should maybe not to me, but Mr. Sading will add something about the ASEAN level of the working group. That in the ASEAN level has such kind of cooperation of every stage, every phase is such kind of policy making stages, and information sharing stages, and capacity building, and the cooperation between other regions, such kind of the Europe and German or World Bank or such kind of thing, such kind of international and research institute are being conducted. So what we should do is monitor carefully about the progress of this ongoing cooperation system, ongoing cooperation initiatives, and provide better integration or better improvement of these initiatives in the near future. In the very near future, INC 3 will be held this November in Nairobi, Kenya. And in this stage, a draft of the international framework will be presented in the global level. So that means maybe ASEAN has prepared several stages of the cooperative discussion on this issue. So we should utilize this opportunity to act together toward the completion of the international framework. That's my opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Senator I am Samuel, it's good to see you. I hope to see you soon. Thanks for joining. Let's see. So yes, thank you to Malaysia and the Philippines for sending their staffers here. Next we have Nepal, Observer Parliaments. Is anyone from Nepal on? No? Okay, next Observer Parliament up is Ukraine. Ukraine should be online, and we have Svetlana here as well. Svetlana, did you need to say anything? No, that's okay. Okay. Calling once. 3, 2, 1 habis. Okay. Well, I think, David, it's back to you for our closing remarks.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm gonna be delivering closing remarks from my director, Mrs. Chantalin Carpentier. She's the head of the Trade Environment branch in UNCTAD. I will read the closing remarks to you. She couldn't come because she's traveling right now, but she's fully supporting this process and additional follow-up actions by the partnership that has been established today, and happy to support ASEAN in all possible ways. I will then read the remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your active participation and insightful discussions through this joint workshop. It has been an enlightening and productive event. As we conclude this briefing, I would like to emphasize 3 key points that are crucial for reducing marine debris in the region. These points reflect the urgency and complexity of the challenge we face and the need for a collaborative action among all stakeholders, particularly parliamentarians. Firstly, it is essential to adjust the incentive structure for marketed products. We must address the existing fossil fuel subsidies that reinforce the presence of polluting materials and products such as plastic polymers, and reconsider low import tariff currently applied to single-use plastics. By aligning economic incentive and regulation with sustainability goals, we can discourage the use of environmental harmful products, and we can promote the adoption of sustainable alternatives. Secondly, adopting a comprehensive control measures to regulate plastics across the value chain is essential. UNCTAD efforts to contribute to progress on this has resulted in an illustrative list presented today that can be used to identify trade and border measures as well as internal market measures as a basis for discussions at all parliaments. This includes strict government production, use, and disposal regulations of plastics, as well as on trade. It is crucial that these control measures are compatible with international efforts to promote harmonization of plastic control and governance globally. The ongoing negotiations of the United Nations through the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee process under UNEP are vital in establishing a unifying, coordinated approach to address plastic pollution worldwide, particularly in Southeast Asia. Thirdly, reducing marine debris necessitates coordinated efforts to search and facilitate the adoption of the right products and services. On products, we really need to seriously consider using more natural material substitute instead of plastics. UNCTAD, as I mentioned, has identified 282 harmonized system codes for products and materials that could replace plastic today. This includes natural-based plastic substitutes that are sustainable, biodegradable, compostable, erodible, or recyclable. Also, these materials and their byproducts are being improved in new ways of mix of innovation and local traditional knowledge that generates environmental and social benefits, particularly of women. A lot of the labor in these material substitutes are directly women. This goes beyond considering equipment directly involved of activities at sea or on vessels. It extends to all sectors of the economy. We could substitute bags, bottles, culturally, etc. Plastic use inside countries know no borders, as often they end up in polluting riverine systems, such as the Mekong Basin, and eventually find their way into the oceans. Recently, UNCTAD has also commissioned a new research into material plastic substitutes critical for the ASEAN region. So we will be coming back with a more precise list could be taken by you. We must actively explore and promote material substitution all over and reduction as well as recycling. Equally, we need trade facilitation in services, which helped us to prevent pollution, such as filters, use, packages, retail systems, and better end-of-the-life product design. It's not only about the products, but how we design the product, their use, and if we can avoid the use of materials, even better, because there is no pollution. In this regard, UNCTAD is carrying out an initial mapping, and we have not done it, we are in the process of doing it, and classification of services, not only goods, that could contribute to prevention and mitigation of plastic pollution. Both the products and services angle cooperation among industries, administration, parliamentarians, research institutions, and development partners to develop a new generation of sustainable services. Let's carry on the momentum and knowledge gain at this event. UNCTAD has been supporting parliamentarians in East Africa also, not only in East Asia, to harmonize policy on single-use plastics and increase restrictions towards this type of products. We can work together. In closing, I would like to express our appreciation to all parliamentarians, experts, stakeholders, and partners during this briefing. Your dedication, your commitment in addressing the issue of marine debris is essential to make the change a reality. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, David. Excellent. Thank you everyone very much for being here. Terima kasih banyak. And we will break. For those online, I hope you get some coffee in the morning, in the afternoon, good evening. For those in the room, we have lunch downstairs. And let's continue the conversation. Okay, thank you.